Water. It's life's most basic need. Every system on Earth depends on it. We use it to replenish our bodies. We use it to create energy, and we use it to grow the food we eat. You cannot have food without ecosystem services to sustain agriculture. In the Klamath Basin, the connection between land and water resources is ingrained in our history. It is our legacy. The Klamath Project is unique. Reclaim lands from large, shallow lakes and marshes, store the water from reclaimed land, return the water, irrigate to those reclaimed lands from storage. Early pioneers recognized the productive value of the lands beneath the region's shallow lakes and initiated reclamation of those lands as early as the 1870s, 30 years before the Reclamation Act of 1902. Private ditch companies initiated irrigation in the Klamath Valley as early as the late 1860s. After the Reclamation Act of 1902, local business and agricultural interests advocated that reclamation come into the Klamath Basin and complete the irrigation system envisioned by the pioneers. The valley was surveyed in 1903, and in 1905, the Reclamation's Klamath Project was authorized. Reclamation began to purchase and consolidate private irrigation infrastructure from Moore, Adams, Van Brimmer, Anke, Carr, and others. Most of the Reclamation's construction and major improvements took place from 1905 to 1925. In 1907, Reclamation first delivered water through its facilities to Klamath Valley lands. A major component of the Klamath Project were Clear Lake Dam, Wilson or Horseshoe Dam, and the Diversion Canal, designed to facilitate the reclamation of Tule Lake either through evaporation of water at Clear Lake or diversion of water from Lost River to the Klamath River. In 1920, Link River Dam was constructed as a cooperative project between Reclamation and the California-Oregon Power Company, or COPCO. Link River Dam provided regulation and additional storage on Upper Klamath Lake, and in lieu of Reclamation developing its power generation rights, by agreement, COPCO and its descendants would provide electrical power at cost to the Reclamation project. That agreement expired in 2006 when Pacific Power, or COPCO's, Federal Energy Regulation Commission license expired for the Klamath Hydroelectric Project. In 1917, as the Tule Lake Basin was reclaimed, homesteading was initiated with preference given to veterans of the military. The first veteran homesteaders were veterans of the Spanish-American War and World War I. The last homestead lottery was in 1949 for veterans of World War II. There are 3 national wildlife refuges served directly by Reclamation Development. In 1908, Theodore Roosevelt created by proclamation the Lower Klamath Wildlife Refuge. In 1909, the Union Pacific Railroad built a causeway across the straits connecting Lower Klamath Lake and the Klamath River. In about 1913, the amount of water entering Lower Klamath Lake was regulated through the causeway to reclaim non-refuge lands in that basin, with some controversy. In 1924, the Tule Lake National Wildlife Refuge was created with joint administration by Reclamation and the U.S. Wildlife Service. About this same time, the evaporation pool behind Clear Lake Dam was designated a National Wildlife Refuge. As the reclaimed lands within the project were still subject to homesteading, and there were conflicting purposes associated with the wildlife refuge designations, the Kuchel Act of 1964 ended homesteading and defined the dual purposes of the refuges as wildlife and agricultural. A contract executed February 24, 1917, between the California-Oregon Power Company, now Pacific Power, and the United States authorized the company to construct the Link River Dam. The dam was completed in 1921. The Klamath Project was established through the New Lands Reclamation Act of 1902. The purpose of the act was to reclaim lands, lakes, and swamps by constructing federal irrigation projects and reservoirs so that it could be converted for agricultural use. In 1917, a decision was made to authorize the opening of 3,000 acres of land in the northern end of the Tule Lake Reclamation Project to homestead. Most of the Klamath Reclamation Project's water flows through the A Canal headgates just above Link River Dam. It's a system based on Mother Nature and the laws of gravity. Much of the water that drains off producers' fields flows into the Lost River, but at that point, it hasn't completed its irrigation purpose yet. Even the water flowing out of the project through the diversion channel can be put to use once more. Return flows in the project are reused several times by irrigators as the waters are collected in lateral canals or seep into diversion canals, wells, and subsurface irrigation throughout the project. Overall irrigation efficiency achievement is at 94%, an unheard of high effluence use rate for irrigation systems. In addition, return flows within the project supply water to Tule Lake and Lower Klamath National Wildlife Refuges. Water from the Tule Lake area, the natural marsh, can then be pumped uphill through Sheepy Ridge to Lower Klamath Lake. From there, it can be pumped to the Klamath River via the Klamath Straits drain. The Klamath Basin's productive wetlands and strategic location along a migration corridor have made it one of the continent's most important parcels of waterfowl habitat. In the heart of the Pacific Flyway, the area continues to be of critical importance to birds. In 1908, President Theodore Roosevelt created the nation's first wildlife refuge for waterfowl, the Klamath Lake Reservation, now called Lower Klamath National Wildlife Refuge. Farmers and ranchers of the Klamath Reclamation Project have a vested interest in the wildlife that exists all around them. Waters from the refuge flow in and out of the National Wildlife Refuge. In total, more than 70 bird species depend on the wetlands, including species of conservation concern like the greater sandhill crane. The Klamath Basin also supports the largest concentration of wintering bald eagles in the lower 48 states. Agriculture is an important economic driver in the middle and upper portions of the Klamath Basin. Over 1,200 Klamath Project's farms and ranches are in production, with the leading crops being alfalfa and hay. Grains such as wheat, oats, and barley make up the next biggest chunk of the harvest. There's a large percentage of potatoes, both russet and chipper. Other crops include mint, strawberries, and horseradish. The overall economic impact of farming and ranching in the Klamath Basin is greater than the value of the crop and livestock sales because agriculture supports businesses and jobs in affiliated sectors. The value of local basin agriculture to the local economy is nearly twice the value of the reported farm and ranch revenues. In 2016, the value exceeded $800 million. Farmers and ranchers of the Klamath Reclamation Project are connected to the wildlife and to the land on which they live, and the connection is generational. It is about a way of life that many just dream about, making something from the land. What does the future hold for the families that live and work in the Klamath Basin Reclamation Project? The connection between land and water resources cannot be overstated. Although created over 100 years ago, the system of water canals and drainage systems that make up the Reclamation Project are still the lifeline to the basin. Water, a simple basic need for the land, agriculture, and the families that live here. In the basin, an untold future that has yet to be determined.